The Minotaur, a beast of unparalleled strength and terror, was born of both divine wrath and human folly. In ancient Crete, where the sun scorched the earth and the sea whispered secrets to the rocky shores, there arose a tale of monstrous birth and human sacrifice. A tale that begins with divine wrath and ends in the shadowed corridors of the Labyrinth. The Minotaur, a creature both bull and man, was born of an unnatural union. His mother, Pasiphae, wife of King Minos, was cursed by Poseidon to love a magnificent snow-white bull, a beast sent by the god as a sign of favor, meant for sacrifice. But Minos, in his greed and pride, spared the bull's life, keeping it as a prize rather than offering it to the sea god. Furious at this betrayal, Poseidon twisted Pasiphae's heart, and from her liaison with the bull came the Minotaur, a hulking figure with the body of a man and the head of a bull, its horns sharp as fate, its eyes wild with hunger. Minos, horrified by this grotesque offspring, sought to bury his shame. He summoned Daedalus, the master craftsman, and commanded him to construct a prison so intricate that no being, man or monster, could escape its depths. Thus was born the Labyrinth, a sprawling underground maze of twisting passages and dead ends, carved beneath the palace of Knossos. The Minotaur, still young, was cast into this abyss, its roars echoing through the stone as Minos sealed the entrance. There, in solitude, the creature grew. Its strength swelled until it could lift a chariot above its head with ease. Its senses sharpened in the dark. The faintest footfall reached its ears. The scent of fear carried on the air drew it near. Its durability defied mortal limits. No blade could pierce its hide. No wall could contain its rage. Starved of light and companionship, fed only on scraps, the Minotaur descended into madness, its mind unraveling in the endless maze. And yet, its hunger remained singular, for the flesh of men. To appease this beast, and punish Athens for past slights, Minos decreed a grim tribute. Every 9 years, 7 young men and 7 maidens were torn from their homes in Athens, and shipped across the wine-dark sea to Crete. There, they were cast into the Labyrinth, offerings to sat the Minotaur's appetite. The cycle had turned thrice when our story finds Callias, a swift-footed son of Athens, among the doomed, tall and lean, with sinews honed by years of racing across the plains. Callias was no stranger to outpacing danger. He had bested wolves and rival runners alike, his legs a blur, his breath steady even under strain. When the lot fell upon him, he did not weep as the others did. In the shadow of the ship's sails, he whispered to his trembling companions, "I will not die in that maze, I will run." The journey to Crete was a dirge of weeping and prayers, but Callias spent it in silence, plotting. He knew the Minotaur was strong, tales spoke of its might, but he trusted in his speed. If he could evade the beast, tire it within the labyrinth's endless turns, he might survive where others fell. His hope was frail, yet it burned bright as the torch that lit their descent into the maze on that fateful day, in late spring, the air thick with the promise of blood. The Athenians were herded to the labyrinth's mouth. Minos watched from above, his face a mask of cold triumph. As the heavy slab was lifted, one by one, the 14 were shoved into the dark, their cries swallowed by the winding tunnels. Callias lingered at the rear, his eyes tracing the walls as the slab slammed shut behind them. The torch flickered, casting shadows that danced like specters. He whispered to the others to stay together, but panic scattered them. Some fled left, others right, their screams soon distant echoes. Alone now, Callias steadied his breath, and listened. The labyrinth was a cacophony of drips and groans, but beneath it came a low guttural bellow, the Minotaur, roused by fresh prey. His heart thudded, yet his legs itched to move. When the first heavy footfalls rumbled through the stone, he bolted, his sandals slapping against the damp floor. The maze twisted cruelly, corridors doubled back, walls loomed suddenly. But Callias navigated by instinct, his runner's mind mapping each turn. Behind him, the Minotaur's roars grew louder, its hooves pounding, its breath a snorting gust. He could smell it now, a musky stench of bull and blood, and he knew its senses had locked onto him. For hours or days he ran, his lungs burned, his muscles screamed, but he pressed on, ducking under low arches, leaping over fissures. Once he glimpsed the beast, a towering silhouette, its horns glinting, its chest heaving with unnatural strength. Callias veered sharp, leading it in circles, hoping to exhaust it. The Minotaur faltered once, its bellows ragged, and hope surged in him. He had teased its limits, outpaced its fury, but the labyrinth was its domain, and he was but a man. His strength waned as the maze tightened around him. A wrong turn brought him to a dead end, a wall of unyielding stone. He spun, chest heaving, as the Minotaur loomed into view. Its eyes glowed red in the gloom, its nostrils flared, drinking in his scent. Callias sprinted past it, a desperate feint, but the beast's arm, thick as an oak, swung with terrifying speed, clipping his shoulder. He stumbled, rolled, and rose again, running on sheer will. The Minotaur roared, maddened by the chase, and charged. In the end, his legs betrayed him. A cramp seized his calf, and he fell, sprawling across the cold floor. The Minotaur was upon him in an instant, its hooves shaking the earth. Callias twisted, staring up at the creature he had taunted so well. It was magnificent in its terror, half man, half bull, a god's cruel jest. He had no blade, no shield, only his defiance. "You'll remember me," he gasped, as its jaws opened wide. The Minotaur devoured him there, in the heart of the labyrinth, its hunger briefly sated. The maze fell silent once more, save for the distant drip of water and the echoes of a runner who had dared to challenge the beast and lost. Above, Minotaurs turned from the spectacle, the cycle unbroken, the labyrinth eternal.